What's up, everybody? It is the Best Spot Kid Smooth, and I'm back with another video. And man, can't believe it's been a whole year. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and yes, I still have them all. It's been pretty good. It's been a pretty good year, and this is more so a year of review. Last year when I got the consoles, I talked extensively about them the week that they came out, gave my impressions, my reviews, and we're gonna see if anything changed a whole year later. So let's talk about these consoles. I don't even know where to begin because we have, the Xbox Series X and S came out first on November 10th last year, and at the time that I'm recording this video, it's November 12th. This is actually the birthday of the PS5, came out 2 days later. I think the dates were, I'm trying to think, was it a Tuesday and a Thursday split when it came out? I think the Xbox came out on a Tuesday, PS5 came out on a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, man, so let's just judge them as consoles. So we got the Xbox Series X, and you guys know I have a preference, a platform preference, you know what I mean? I'm trying to be fair as I possibly can in this video, but I love the Xbox. So this is I have them literally in order of how often I play them. The Xbox Series X gets the most gaming, and this is actually one of two Xbox Series X's that I own. I got one sitting next to my monitor. This is the one that I typically plug into my TV. I'll eventually probably get rid of one of them just to simplify things. And then obviously we have the Xbox Series S, which is the smallest console in history. And this is probably the most powerful console you're gonna get at this size. This has been, now this is actually my least played console. I have it honestly for emergencies, in terms of if like for example, my kids still have Xbox One S's, digital and standard. They play this when that one's acting out of whack, and I plug this up in the living room, and it's just full of stuff like Minecraft, Gang Beasts, Fortnite and other stuff. It's nothing but really Game Pass games on this. So this is that like console that everyone uses, to my son, my daughter, me sometimes when I'm just kind of in a casual mode and I just want to play in the living room. And then when our guests come over, this typically sits in the living room where the big boy, is all mine. Now the PS5, one of the most highly coveted consoles, highly anticipated, is selling a lot, they're shipping a lot, and they sell out fairly quick. Same with the Xboxes, but I just feel like there's more PS5s available in terms of how often they get in stock than there are Xboxes. I think it's the PS5, then the Series S, and then Series X is in terms of how often they become available. PS5, man, also good console for what it is. I'm not the biggest fan of the size and the shape. I like the fact that it looks like it's different. It's a future console for the future, but it's just, there's no place to put it, whether you have the disc or the disc. So it sits on my desk. I barely hook it up to my TV. And the reason why I don't really hook this thing up to my TV is because the PS5 doesn't support Dolby Vision or VRR, so it's not really necessary to put it on an OLED. So I play it on my 4K HDMI 2.1 monitor, and I don't have to worry about losing something because you could plug this thing into a standard less featured like monitor or display and not worry about it. The PlayStation 5, it looks good, runs okay, but like the Series X is like, man, I have to have it plugged up on the OLED because it literally is compatible at every level. So, but let's talk about things, right? Last year PS5 launched, and it had the immediate edge, and the immediate edge was that the PS5 offered a different, obviously a different controller, which is the biggest thing, the biggest change. Just to give you guys a heads up, one of these controllers on mine are already dead. I think, I don't know if it's this one or the other one. The D-pad is like dead. I found out trying to play Deathloop, and so I had to open the new controller. So one of them is already no good. It's the first time that's ever happened to me, like within less than a year. So hopefully the other one is good to go. But I did lose a controller in the process because the D-pad kind of just went out on me. As far as the UI, I don't think it's better than a PS4's UI, however, but it is a distinct difference. You could tell you're on a new platform, and and you can appreciate that about PlayStation 5. I am in love with the PlayStation 5 social features, the whole like picture-in-picture streaming capabilities. Just when you want to party up with a friend and you guys are looking at each other's gameplay. Awesome feature. Something I'm surprised Xbox hasn't adapted yet, but I think PlayStation 5 is awesome for that. One thing you can't deny about PlayStation in their first year is that their launch lineup was just killer. They've had Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Astrobat, Sackboy, Godfall. The games that I've picked up with my PS5 at launch were obviously Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Astrobot came with the console. I picked up Sackboy, but I didn't like it too much. And I'm trying to think if I played any. I did Bugsnax a little bit, but I dropped it. But there was enough content there that was new and exclusive to the platform. And in terms of games at launch, PS5 was an immediate win over the Xbox in that first year, but not only in terms of like launch, but the entire year other things were added. PlayStation added games like Destruction All Stars. They added Returnal, which obviously you guys know I didn't really care for, but Ratchet and Clank, which is probably a Game of the Year contender. Deathloop, which is one of my most favorite games that I played on PlayStation 5, and Kenna, which is another one of my most favorite games that I played on PlayStation 5 there. So for as far as software, some incredible good games. There's a lot of games that I didn't mention for the simple fact either I didn't play them or they're just not my cup of tea. I know PlayStation has remastered Death Stranding for the PS5 console. They've released same thing with what's the Tokyo Ghost of Tsushima for the PS5, and then numerous games got 60 frames per second updates like Days Gone, God of War 2018, Last of Us Part 2. The list goes on that literally improved those games. And the crazy thing is, a lot of these games, if you're a PlayStation 5 customer with a PS Plus account, a lot of those PlayStation Classics are already in your library as PlayStation Classics, and a lot of those games have been updated to run 60 frames per second on this console. And PlayStation also solved their issue with their lack of, solid SSD space. Remember, this console has an 825 gigabyte SSD inside, but only 667, I think, gigs is used of it. A couple things PlayStation did to try to combat that is games that are typically on the PlayStation, thanks to Kraken compression, are smaller than what they are on PS4 and Xbox version. So you get to, it's not as big. So it still hasn't fixed Call of Duty, which is always going to be 100 plus gigs. But like your typical games like Control, where you're seeing anywhere from 30 to like 60% decrease in file sizes on the PS5, thanks to that Kraken compression that they got going on, and it's allowing PlayStation users, if they hoard games, to install more games on that little space. But not only did they do that, they did finally unlock the expansion, so now we can put our own SSDs, our SSDs in our PlayStation 5. Now, personally, I didn't do it. I have yet to open up my PlayStation, and I don't really plan to add on SSD because I've been practicing the method. If I beat it, I'm gonna delete it. And the thing is, the PlayStation is not my primary console, so I'm not running into this memory thing. I play literally about like 2 to 3 games a year on PlayStation in general, and that's being the trend. Spider-Man at launch and Astrobot and Bugsnax I did, and then in 2021 so far I did Kenna, Deathloop, and Ratchet, and I think Returnal I just didn't beat. But I don't plan on using my PlayStation 5 again until Horizon Forbidden West, which is due out in February. And of course, God of War is going to be coming out next year. But incredible first year for the PlayStation 5. You cannot deny that. It's just that I'm not a PlayStation guy. I play their exclusive, so the game doesn't get, I don't put too much burn on it. So there's a lot of features I'm probably not taking advantage of. But for what it is, I think it's an incredible platform. As far as the Xbox Series X and S is now, like I said, as far as remember, we launched with the UI was literally an updated version of the Xbox One's UI, so there was a lot of familiar. It wasn't bad, it just didn't seem new. out of the box, it was just faster, and we had dynamic themes, which somehow PlayStation 5 doesn't have. Dynamic themes, thought that was pretty cool. Quick resume instantly became a necessity. Smart delivery, knowing that there's no game confusion when I'm buying a game. I know I'm buying the proper version. And then a lot of these free upgrades. Game Pass is obviously always a feature. Now, how did Xbox combat the lack of games at launch? So you got to consider what Xbox launched with. The new games were Gears Tactics, which was a port from the PC, which it should have been a day and date game to begin with. But Gears Tactics, it had a lot of enhancements, a lot of additions to that package, which launched on the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One as a launch game for the series consoles. We also had remakes or re-releases of Forza Horizon 4, which was done by a separate team than Playground, and that version ran at 4K 60. It was a nice early glimpse of what we can expect from future Forza games. And we also had Gears 5 Game of the Year edition, which gave us Gears Hive Busters shortly after the Medium came out in January. But a lot of what Xbox did to support this platform is that we kept seeing all these games being updated, just like the PlayStation 5. A lot of Xbox titles like Sea of Thieves running at 60 and 120 frames per second. We Happy Few getting that 60 frames per second. The Outer Worlds getting that 60 frames per second patch. And then Xbox had an internal solution for games, which is FPS Boost, which now to this date we got nearly 100 and I think 50 plus games running with FPS Boost. And this is games literally from the Xbox One generation, Xbox One X generation, literally going from 30 to 60, and even some from 30 to 120 frames per second. And the Xbox has literally made the Xbox the most performant platform because it runs the most games at 60 and 120 frames. That has not changed throughout the year. It has the most games running at those high frame rates. So if you want to play games at a higher frame rate, look towards Xbox. Xbox FPS Boost solution has literally forced even other developers to come out and manually boost games for the PS5 to help the discrepancy, but it hasn't changed too much, and FPS Boost has become one of my most beloved features on the Xbox Series X, the Series X and S. But as far as what they did, not only did they do that to make up for the games, Xbox managed to get MLB The Show as a part of it to release on Xbox, and not only to release because we kind of knew it was coming to Xbox after the MLB said they want to go multi-platform. It was still developed by PlayStation Studio, and Xbox did a crazy move to put this thing in Game Pass day and date with the release, and ultimately supporting smart delivery in a way, meaning that both versions were in Game Pass, which was the next gen version of the game and the last gen version of the game for Xbox gamers to try. Xbox also had another big hit with the Outriders in Game Pass day and date, which was one of the bigger hits that was non-first party to go in there. I had a blast with that game. It was my most played game up until recently. There was obviously the Medium. You had games like The Artful Escape, 12 Minutes. The Flight Simulator finally came as an exclusive to the Xbox Series X and S. Cloud Gaming has finally launched Forza Horizon 5, which is a Game of the Year contender. A handful of games, being the premier platform to play on the Xbox. So at the start, it was looking kind of bleak. Xbox had a wonderful console but it just didn't have enough software to back it up, and now a year later it has both the software, and the future is just only looking bright. So they capped off their year with Forza Horizon 5, which, like I said, is a Game of the Year contender. Psychonauts 2, even though it was on PlayStation, the premier place to play it was the Xbox, and it is a first party game, and that is arguably a Game of the Year contender as well. And there are Halos coming out next month, and the Gunk is also coming out next month. So I think the drought is finally over for Xbox, and 2022 and beyond is just not going to stop. So I had a great deal of time with the next generation consoles. I had a lot of fun this year. I played more games than I ever have this year. I've beaten more games than I ever had this year. I'm on both platforms, and I just wish that this whole hardware chip shortage thing wasn't like so prevalent, because the crazy thing is these consoles are out, they're getting a ton of support, and there's still a ton of people that don't have access to these consoles. And one of the things you gotta, no, I just wish they get more in stock. But if I had to give them a grade, I think they both get the same grade. I'm going to give PlayStation 5 in terms of a year, the slight edge with 8.5 for the simple fact they had, when you boils down to it, games always matter, and of course that they're in a little drought down. It's going to pick back up early next year. Xbox, I give an 8. Even though I played mostly on my Xbox and I had an incredible time, it's my primary platform. There was unignorable glaring holes, and it wasn't the fault of the console. It was just that we were just hungry for that first party content, and now it's starting to come. And I think the Xbox Series X, you know, they had a game tying a 3-pointer buzzer beater with Forza Horizon 5 to, like, you know, to help like bolster Xbox lineup. And the crazy thing about this, last year it was a joke because the Xbox Series X launched with no games, and a year later the Xbox and Xbox Game Studios has the highest rated games of the whole year of 2021 when you consider Flight Sim, Forza Horizon 5, Psychonauts 2, and Age of Empires 4, and then you can factor in Deathloop because that is now a first-party game and it is coming to Xbox Series X next year. Incredible year for the Xbox Series X and S and the PlayStation 5. I know there's people, you know, who can buy one and be done. I'm blessed and thankful to have them all, and I'm looking forward to next year. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on the Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5's first year. Do you agree or disagree with any of the points that I made? PS5 8.5 slightly edges it over the Xbox 8, but this is not me saying that one is better. I told you guys at the beginning, I have an obvious preference. I play on Xbox more. It's my preferred platform. I only played this bad boy about maybe 3 or 4 times for a few select games here, but the Xbox consoles is where a majority of my gaming came, and I had an incredible time playing them, and I know next year is going to be even better. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll be back with more videos because I got a lot going on, and I'm happy to share those with you in the coming days. Xbox is the best box, and I am the best bot. Good night or good morning if you're on the other side of the globe. I'm out of here. Peace.